So we call the meeting of the Clayton City Council to order here on the 3rd of August, 2021. And Janet is here, and Janet will call the roll.
Councilmember Diaz.
Present.
Councilmember Tillman.
Here.
Looks like we're still waiting for Councilmember Juan. Vice Mayor Cloven.
I'm here.
Mayor Wolf.
And I'm here too. All right, so I'm sure Jeff will jump in soon. We will now go to our meeting protocol video. And there is Councilmember Juan is joining now, Janet.
Hello.
There he is. We are all here.
Due to COVID-19, this meeting will be conducted as a Zoom webinar pursuant to the provisions of the Governor's Executive Order N2920, which suspends certain requirements of the Brown Act. This meeting is being webcast on the city.
Can anybody hear that?
Site.
Janet, we also can't see your screen.
Senators, staff, and other speakers by name.
We shall try again because I had it all set up for it. Let's go again.
Due to COVID-19, this meeting will be conducted as a Zoom webinar pursuant to the provisions of the Governor's Executive Order N2920, which suspends certain requirements of the Brown Act. This meeting is being webcast on the City of Clayton's website. The mayor will call upon its council, presenters, staff, and other speakers by name and ask that they speak clearly and state their name before giving comments or remarks. Persons participating via webcast and Zoom with their cameras enabled are reminded that their activities are visible to viewers. Members of the public participating by Zoom wishing to speak should use the raise hand feature or dial *9 and the mayor will call upon them at the appropriate time. Telephone attendees will be called upon by the last 4 digits of their phone number. It is requested that public speakers state their name, but providing such information is voluntary. Written public comments received by Clayton City Clerk by 5 p.m. today will be entered into the record, but will not be read out loud. If authors of the written correspondence would like to speak, they are free to do so and should raise their hand and the mayor will call upon them at the appropriate time. A roll call vote will be taken for all action items. The chat feature is not active. In order to get the full Zoom experience, please make sure your application is up to date.
Actually important. I had to update mine today. Okay, so we will move on to item number 3, which is the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilmember Diaz.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Diaz. Moving on to item number 4, excuse me, the consent calendar. Does anybody have anything they would like to talk about, pull on the calendar?
Move approval, Diaz.
We gotta go to the public and see if anybody from the public wants to chime in. Anybody? We'll open the public comment for consent calendar. Janet, do we have any hands?
Mayor Wolf, I do not have any hands raised on this item.
Okay. And
If you give me just one second,
Okay.
I was trying to pull it up, but
All right.
having some connectivity issues here.
I'll close the public comment then and move back to the council, and we'll wait for Councilmember Juan.
In about 30 seconds or 20 seconds, maybe.
That'll count to your 3 minutes.
Actually, no, that was something else. Disregard.
Okay. And so, Jim, you want to first, you want to make a motion on that to approve?
I moved it for approval.
Okay. And second, do we have a second?
this right.
I'll second.
All right, so we got second by Cloven. And Jen, please call the vote.
Councilmember Diaz,
Yes.
Councilmember Tillman,
Yes.
Councilmember Juan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Cloven,
Yes.
Mayor Wolf.
Yes. That passes. Okay, so item number 5, recognitions and presentations. We have none tonight, so we'll move on to our reports, starting with, as always, our city manager and staff.
Right, thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I have 2 items I want to cover briefly this evening. The first is at the July 20th City Council meeting, a question was raised by Councilmember Diaz regarding a payment to the Pioneer for $1,100, and he requested some information on who had approved it and what the purpose was and how the payment was made. The check was for an ad for the concerts in the Grove, and this time, consistent with past concerts, the Pioneer prints usually an advertisement or an insert, and it's paid entirely from the Concerts in the Grove donations fund. There are no city funds expended for that purpose. The city acts essentially as the fiscal agent, or writes the check on behalf of the donation account. So the invoice was approved by staff for payment out of the donation account, and a check was written and sent off to the Pioneer. So that was just to close the loop on that issue. That was the question came up at the July 20th meeting. And then the second item I wanted to report back on, again, kind of closing the loop, is some of the questions that have come up regarding the CBCA and financial transactions with the city. So the city and the CBCA met last week to review expenses and payments between the 2 entities between 2017 and 2019. And from the city's perspective, in our review of it, all of those payments and expenses match across the 2 organizations. Our system, we characterize them a little bit differently sometimes in terms of how we split out different permits, et cetera, but all of the dollar amounts match completely. So I feel very comfortable about that. One of the issues, a couple of issues arose as we were reviewing the transactions, however, and that is that we hadn't always had timely billing, it appears, on a couple of events, primarily from 2019. And it's not due to any preferential treatment, but we did get behind on those and didn't have a good process in place to make sure that we had a reminder to get those paid or requested in a timely manner. Anytime we have invoiced CBCA, they have paid in a very timely way. So it isn't that at all. So a couple of things are going to come out of that meeting. One, we are going to finish the reconciliation from the 2019 events, and we will be communicating with CBCA about any final amounts that might be due from that. And then secondly, we've made some changes internally on how the processing will occur for the events in terms of how we implement the CBCA city agreement from 2008, and just making sure that we have a strong process in place so that when we complete all of that work, we also finalize it and close it out. So opportunity for improvement that was identified there. With that, Mayor and Council, that completes my report for this evening.
Thank you so much. All right, moving on to
I have questions of the city manager.
Yes, Councilmember Diaz.
The first question is, it is for the good of the community of the city of Clayton, for better or for worse, the CBCA has in fact donated money and gifts to the city. Is that correct, city manager?
The donations that have been shown by the CBCA, and I would prefer to let them answer that, but the donations have primarily been to donation accounts that support specific events.
But that's not the question that I asked. I asked, is in fact have the city received funds and gifts from the CBCA, all for the good of the community.
My memory of the transactions, and I will pull them up now, is there was one donation that was separate from 4th of July concerts in the Grove, et cetera. And that was for actually for some city emblem material for the police department to hand out at those same CBCA events.
Okay, but again, and I'm going to keep drilling this until I get the answer. The city has received gifts and donation and fees for services from the CBCA. They pay for the services that they do at the Art and Wine Festival, the barbecue cook-off, and the Oktoberfest, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. So anybody that was on the board of the CBCA, current or past, including members of this city council, as I was at one time, but that was a long time ago. And I think the only other one that was on the board was Councilmember Tillman. And I don't think she recalls any donations made, but they were in fact made to the city from them in the good of the community, for the good of the community, all the things that we enjoy, and we want to continue to have that positive relationship. So it's clear that the CBC does in fact donate monies, gifts, or whatever for the betterment of the community of Clayton through the city. Second thing, in the 990 that now, that suppose, and by the way, the CBCA sent out an email to all of its members, including me, by the way, that had some factual deficiencies, I'll say. And I'll get to that in a minute. But the 2018 990 showed a contribution to the Clayton Police Department of $10,500. And from what I gathered in some of the research that I did, in fact, even though the bottom line may add up, $10,500 was not earmarked for the Clayton Police Department. In fact, from what the city information was provided to me, the police department may have gotten $1,000. The concerts in the Grove may have gotten $5,000. The 4th of July festival and parade may have gotten some other monies, as well as other miscellaneous things. So I don't know, and this is a CBCA matter. For clarity purposes, the police department contribution at $10,500 actually was not the case. It was something less than that, and the other amounts went to other entities within the city, and for whatever reason, and it could have been a placement error or whatever. But I trust that those kinds of mistakes, if you will, or misplacements of where monies went will be corrected and amended into the future. Back to the email that was sent to all members, there were a couple of comments in there, one related to me, which I will just pass on because as far as I'm concerned, the CBCA does good things for the community and will continue to do so, and we will have a positive relationship with them. There was an item in there that I don't believe took place, that they, and maybe mistakenly again, reported that there was a complaint filed with the police department for whatever activities took place during all of this controversy from 17, 18, and 19. And to date, no complaint has been filed with the police department. And in my looking into it, if there was a complaint in which there were no violations of the law, according to the police department, it probably should have been filed, if one was filed, with the U.S. Postal Service and not the Clayton Police Department. So in sum, again, the CBCA does in fact provide benefit to the city of and the citizens of Clayton for the good of the community. And we want that to continue. I want it to continue on a positive basis. And I hope now, after going through all this, and it sounds like you and the CBCA financial staff are going to continue, that it will clear up any other discrepancies or whatever, and we'll continue to move on in a very positive nature. Thank you.
Okay, and now moving on, Jim, you want to continue with your report?
Oh, absolutely. I'll be happy to.
Sure.
First of all, on the 21st of July, I attended the memorial service for former sheriff, assemblyman, and state senator Richard Rainey. And well attended, well recognized. Richard, who I knew personally, not only with his activities here in Contra Costa County, but I worked with him when I was a agency head with the state of California on some legislation. Very positive. He was a gentleman. He knew what he needed to do, and he moved forward with legislation, which was successfully passed and signed into the law by the governor at the time. One thing that was very interesting that was brought up at the memorial service that I didn't even realize. Dick Rainey did more for the advancement of women with the police department, and in particular the sheriff's department. Believe it or not, when he took over as sheriff back in the late 70s, there was a category called deputy sheriff female and matron. He said, what's the difference? They're all deputies. He changed that dramatically, and all female deputies became a deputy sheriff, just like everyone else, male. And it was quite a move that he championed back in those days. And he'll be sorely missed. His lovely wife, Sue McNulty Rainey, is the former mayor of Walnut Creek. On July 21st, also, we had our second Clayton Classic Car Show, which is, again, well attended. We have one more coming up tomorrow, which will be the final one. And we've already gotten tons of requests for reservations, and that will happen. On the 31st, for those of you that didn't attend, you couldn't get in anyway because there was no more seats available, but it was for the concerts in the Grove with Asia doing Steely Dan and Chicago. What a night. Beautiful night. Lots of people there. Parking was not an issue this time, but it was definitely a wonderful evening for all that attended. And again, Howard Geller and his team collected over $4,200 between that and the first concert, which collected over $4,300. It's been amazing. It's an amazing season, and there are 3 concerts left. Hopefully, nothing will be changed with all of this masking and so forth. Also had a couple of meetings with the city manager and the police chief as well. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Peter, how about you today?
Greetings. So I wanted to talk about a few things. Number one, I went to the Cal Cities East Bay Division meeting, and I am going to be the first one to say that I really, really appreciate Cal Cities. I love the fact that the topic of the meeting was broadband, but that was not about why I was there. It was to meet and connect with council members from all over the place. There's a room where you can get in and talk to members from Hercules, Lafayette, Walnut Creek, and Orinda. We're in my chat room. And I just want to be clear, Clayton is not alone in the challenges we're facing from the state. We're not alone. And it's really nice to hear our other council members talk about their challenges and their constituents and what they're trying to do relative to the arena numbers. What better way for us to get our perspectives out there and learn from other people who are dealing with the same issues? It's a valuable organization. I appreciate being a part of it. I did get a chance to attend my very first in-person CBCA mixer on last Thursday as a member. Now, I attended several online and Zoom, but I joined last year for the first time at CBCA during the middle of COVID, so I really hadn't had a in-person meeting with CBCA before, and I really appreciate it. What a great way for a group of people to come together and do what's good for the city, just as Jim just said. And if there's anybody who's listening who's curious, I highly suggest you check the CBCA out and get involved. It's going to be around for a long time, helping us and helping our community. Jim, I want to thank you, and I want to thank Howard. The concert in the park on Saturday was absolutely amazing. If you had told me a few years ago that I was being one of those people out with a jug with donations and asking for money, I would have completely laughed at you, but it was my first time doing it, and it was a lot of fun getting out there and meeting the people out there. What a beautiful evening. What a way to look at Clayton in the Norman Rockwellian way that we are. We're just a great community, and it was a perfect night just to be a community. Lastly, I had an opportunity to meet with Senator Steve Glazer with Holly Tillman. I'll let her tell you her point, but I know specifically there's two questions I asked is, what does he think about SB 9 and SB 10 specifically? Again, housing is a big issue, and that's where I want to find out his perspective. He was very clear that he does not like SB 9, which is the elimination of single-family zoning, specifically because of the lack of local control. So he voted no on that and got a lot of guff for that. But he did vote yes on SB 10, and SB 10 is another housing regulation, but it's specifically that one leaves the control within the city council's hands, specifically for the local jurisdiction. And I knew that distinction beforehand, and for him to state that aloud to me made me understand that he understood what we're dealing with as city council members, and I appreciated his insight. Last, I had multiple conversations with our city staff and city manager. But what I've begun to do is walking the neighborhoods and talking to our constituents one-on-one. Social media is not a good way to have a good conversation, and I'm learning a lot about you and about what you want when I do so. And I want to thank for those conversations that I've had. End of report, Mayor.
Thank you. Holly?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. On the 22nd of July, I also attended the Cal Cities meeting. On the 28th, I, along with the city manager and the mayor, attended the Mount Diablo Unified School District meeting. And that was an update so that we can meet with the superintendent as well as a couple of the board members just to get an update on school opening. First day of school is next Thursday for our school district. That's the 12th. I can't believe it's starting already, but it is. And we will be back in person full time. The students will all be masked as well as the staff. And as far as lunches, all of them will be, if they want to eat in the cafeteria, they'll be spacing inside the cafeteria. Otherwise, they're encouraging them to eat outdoors so that they can space out a little bit more. But it will be all schools in person. He had about 200 students that he said wanted to do in-home learning, meaning they'll be doing homeschooling, it's homeschooling or, one second. Independent study are the two options. So independent studies for high school students, home studies for kindergarten through 8th grade. They also shared that he doesn't anticipate anybody reverting back to online learning. The state has kind of put a hold on that for now. Unless the governor changes it, he didn't think that was going to happen before this recall election. So for now, at least through September, this is going to stay the way that it is in person. Our next meeting with them will be November 3rd, and I'll give more updates after that one. So that was the 28th. On the 29th, I also attended the CBCA Mixer. It was nice to see everybody outdoors and to see everybody I hadn't seen in person for quite a long time. It had been probably I had never been to a Mixer actually, but it was a general membership meeting. It was nice to see everyone. In addition to that, I did want to add on to Councilmember Diaz's comments. There was no question about my question at that meeting on May 18th was not about whether or not the CBCA donated money. It was stated that they gave money to the city in exchange for receiving information in advance. That's what I was refuting. So I just wanted to be crystal clear for everybody on the call. That's what it was for. On the 2nd, I met with Senator Glazer, as Peter alluded to, and it was very interesting, very casual in a park, just to meet with him. He wanted to get to meet any electeds he hadn't met. I'm not sure if any of the other council members have met with him or not, but just reached out, just wanted us to know that he's available if we have questions. He talked about the homelessness in our area and the issues that we're facing. He also talked about the housing numbers. He did mention that there is an audit that someone had requested that's not sitting well with a lot of people because they're afraid that the numbers, that the RENA numbers might change. And he actually countered that and said, It's possible that the numbers, we might find an error and the numbers might grow. So they were trying to argue, don't do it because the methodology might be incorrect and they're afraid that the numbers might change one way or the other. But his argument is if the numbers are wrong, we need to know whether they're wrong, regardless of the way that they go. So he thinks it might die. He's not sure if it'll pass, but he wanted us to be aware that that was an issue. And then actually before the order came from the county that everything was going to shut down, he had shared with us, it's probably imminent that we're going to have to go back to mass indoors. And I think it was literally maybe 45 minutes after that meeting, that order came out. So that was timely, meeting with him. And then I also met with some other city council members from surrounding cities. I met with Eddie Brisson last week just to catch up and get to know him. And then Carlin Obringer actually reached out to meet, and I'll be meeting with her in a few weeks just to get to know others that are in our surrounding cities. This upcoming Sunday, I also have a meeting with some other electeds that are in our area. And that's the range from school board members, the DA, other members that are city council members, or what are they called? I'm drawing a blank on the other title, but I'll give a report on that at the next city council meeting. And that's it, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Juan?
I mostly just emailed and talked with people on the phone, not as elaborate as the others. I did have a chance to talk with Senator Glazer a long time ago, and you know, I do find that he understands a lot of the issues that we're dealing with, though his position is not strong in the legislature, so it's somewhat unable to really make waves as much as I think he would like. But you know, you do what you can. So.
Thank you. And I too have met with Senator Glazer a couple of times, and I know during our orientation when we first were elected, he invited us to his office in the Capitol, which was nice. Okay, so I too went to the Cal Cities Division meeting and had a very lively chat room, and I was really appreciative of the group that I was with in my chat room prior to the general meeting. And Peter's right there. We have a lot of things in common with our fellow cities and our fellow elected officials. I met several times with our city manager. I met with Vice Mayor Cloven. I also worked once again the bucket at the Grove, as did Peter and former Mayor Pierce, for the Grove concerts, where we raised the $4,200 that Councilmember Diaz mentioned. I think this time former Mayor Pierce beat us by like $81 or something, so it's close. But nevertheless, the $4,200 is very important for the concerts next year. So let's see what else. I attended the very successful library book sale. Happy to see so many people at that, and picked up a bunch of good books for a very low price. Met with, as Holly mentioned, the Mount Diablo Unified School Board, school district, along with the mayors and other city council members and city managers. Also met with Tim McGallion when I was there for Concord, who has mentioned that they have postponed their return to live meetings. They're going to stay Zoom for now because of the COVID situation. And let me see if there's anything else here. Okay, I think that is it for my report. All right.
I forgot to, excuse me, I apologize. I had one other item that I became aware of today, and I need to share this with all of you. The Olivia at Marsh Creek project. It appears that the developer listed that property for sale in some entity called LoopNet back in February of this year. Then came to the City Planning Commission April, May, and asked for an extension, which they granted, and then came to the City Council, and which the majority of the City Council denied the application or the grant appeal to deny that. I hate to say this, but we've been flim-flammed. And if you don't know what that word means, take a look at flim-flam. We got flim-flammed over that whole thing. He's not going to develop it. He's going to sell it. And I even asked the question, how about his glorious new dream home in Carmel, Indiana at that meeting? And said, oh, I can run it from there. Anyway, flim flam, look that up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we are done with our reports and moving on now to our public comment on non-agenda items. If you would like to raise your hand, we will call on you. You have up to 3 minutes to talk about things that are not on the agenda this evening. And so we will open that public comment now, and Janet will look for hands.
Mayor Wolf, I am promoting Keith to panelist. Keith, as you're promoted, can you please unmute your microphone? You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
All right, there. I'm unmuted, I believe. Okay.
Yes. Hi. Hello, Keith.
Hi there. I wanted to share information about County Connection. I am the Clayton City representative to the County Connection Board of Directors, actually the chair this year, and wanted to share a lot of exciting information, particularly with the start of the school year. Wanted to share that we are going to be allowing and offering unlimited ride passes for students grades 1 through 12 through the end of October on all County Connection buses so that we can provide free transportation to school. We're hoping to get more funding to be able to extend that beyond October, but for now we do have enough to take it through the end of October. So that at least provides free bus transportation to school. Also in September, we're actually going to have free bus rides for everyone, adults, children, and everyone, to promote people using our bus system more, to get familiar with it. And I encourage certainly the council as well as the public to take advantage of that and ride on one of our buses. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. It does serve throughout the Contra Costa area and is very convenient. Certainly eliminates any problems with parking. Also, there are some promotions coming up with Clipper Youth promotion for ages 6 through 18. Will get a 20% off when they use their youth Clipper card. So we're trying to drive more activity to Clipper cards, both adult and youth, because so much can be done with those Clipper cards. They're so much more efficient. Mobile app is available to pay for those off your smartphone, and you just download the app, and this information is available on the County Connection website. Also, the Clipper Start program, eligible riders, which basically it extends to all residents of San Francisco Bay Area and those that are 19 to 64 and a household income of 200% of the federal poverty level or less, they will receive this Clipper Start discount. And last, I don't see a clock, but I did want to share an update on County Connection administration changes. Rick Rameser, who's been the executive director for 24 years, announced earlier this year that he thinks it's finally time to retire. He's very comfortable with the senior staff he's put in place. He's done a lot of training, and he thinks that there'll be a very smooth transition. And he did also offer some suggestions on a replacement. The board did look at both internal and external candidates and discovered to our, we were very happy to discover that even after looking at all the candidates, the best candidate was right in front of us, and it's Bill Churchill, the assistant executive director, who Rick has been training more or less to take over. And he works well with the senior staff and will be able to slide right into that position. He's been performing a lot of those duties already as he trains to take over for Rick, and that'll become effective when Rick retires later this year. So that'll be a change, but it really will not be noticed because Bill will be maintaining and continuing with the current programs that are so successful with County Connection. So that's what's been going on since my last report. And I do, Janet does also have the pamphlet or the flyers that were sent out. I believe it was shared with the council, and we hope to get those on the city's website. Provides more information about each of these programs and how our citizens can get more information about them. All right.
Thank you. Is that the end of your report, Keith?
Yes, it is.
Thank you very much. Okay. Does anybody, by the way, have any questions of Keith? I know this is public comment, but he was reporting. No? Okay. All right. So, Janet, we'll move on to the next person.
Our next speaker is Terry. Terry, as I permit you to panelist, if you can please unmute your microphone, you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Can you hear me?
Hello, Terry. We can hear you.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Good evening, Mayor, Council, and Clayton citizens. My name is Terry Denslow. I'm speaking to you tonight on behalf of the CBCA as my role as the organization's treasurer. Since its founding in 1984, the CBCA's sole mission has been to give back to our Clayton community. Our nonprofit organization and its thousands of volunteers raises tens of thousands of dollars annually, which is returned to the community in the form of college scholarships, classrooms, sports equipment, helping families in need, as well as supporting our local businesses during the COVID-19 pandemic, just to name a few. During the July 20th City Council meeting, Planning Commissioner and former CBCA member Frank Gavidia alleged 3 inaccurate claims regarding the CBCA that I'd like to clarify and correct the record accordingly. The first allegation was that the CBCA has received preferential delayed billing treatment from the City of Clayton. This is incorrect. As the city manager has clarified, the CBCA and the city have a contract that's been in place since 2008 that outlines the payment process. We pay 50% estimate prior to an event, and then we receive a true-up invoice following the event, for which we've historically paid within a few days of the receipt. The city has, however, at times been inconsistent with the timing of their invoicing, for which the CBCA has raised concerns historically and most recently during a recent meeting with the city manager. The claim that the CBCA is receiving special delayed billing treatment is false, and it's intentionally misleading. Secondly, I'd like to clarify the concern Mr. Gavidia raised regarding donations to the Clayton PD from the CBCA. The Clayton PD is a branch of the City of Clayton. They have the same EIN and the same address. Thusly, the City of Clayton PD and the City of Clayton donations are reported together on the Form 990 in a combined manner, as they have been historically. The 2018 donations that were in question are a combination amount of the donations to the City of Clayton and to the Clayton PD. The donations to the City of Clayton are comprised of donations to the July 4th parade and the concerts in the Grove, since the city is the financial sponsor of these community events, as well as a $1,000 donation toward trinkets that the police officers hand out to kids during the events. The CBCA has referenced our general ledger versus the city ledger and found no discrepancies. The allegation of fraud is false and intentionally misleading. Lastly, regarding the allegation that the CBCA is hiding 2020 tax info from our general membership is false. The CBCA has filed an extension for our 2020 taxes to allow additional time to work with our CPA, who has worked with our organization for several years and specializes in the area of nonprofit organizations. Our returns will be filed by the October 15th deadline, and this has been communicated to our membership base and to our board on several occasions. As an organization, it's disappointing that Mr. Gavidia continues to create a narrative of nefarious behaviors and actions of the CBCA that are simply just not based in fact. During our meeting with the city manager, the CBCA requested that the city not speak on behalf of the organization and allow us to do so. That same request extends to the council members as well. We have always been and remain a transparent and non-political organization. We encourage our general membership, council members included, to engage our board if there are any questions. We're hopeful that Mr. Gavidia or other interested parties will engage us with any further questions versus the continued attacks in this city council forum. The CBCA wishes to thank the city manager and staff for working with our organization to meet with us to align our records and clarify allegations of fraud that was made during the July 2020, the July 20th city council meeting are indeed false. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Terry. Ken, do we have any other hands raised?
Mayor Wolf, I understand Edward's our next speaker. Edward, as I promote you to panelist, if you can please unmute your microphone, you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, we can hear you, Ed, and now we can see you.
Oh, now you can see me. Thank you. My name is Ed Hartley, and I'm a member of the CBCA's 3-person advisory board. a non-voting position appointed to expand the executive board's discussion of matters affecting the entire CBCA. Over the course of the past 2 months, 2+ months, CBCA has been the subject of a coordinated campaign to smear our integrity in the minds of the public. This campaign has involved anonymous letters from anonymous CBCA members, anonymous complaints to the IRS, an anonymous press release to the local media, all supported or parroted in public comment. The public comments and anonymous documents have targeted not just CBCA as an institution, but myself, my wife, Treasurer Terry Denslow, who just spoke, Councilmember Tillman, and the Clayton Pioneer. Just last week, another anonymous note was sent to Ms. Denslow that was particularly nasty. On May 18, Planning Commissioner and former CBCA member Frank Gavidia alleged in public comment that the CBCA gives money to the city of Clayton in return for private or inside information given by planning commissioners at CBCA meetings, something which Councilmember Diaz refuses to counter. Mr. Gavidia's comments were made 3 days after a complaint was anonymously filed with the IRS alleging the very same quid pro quo, and also alleged that CBCA is engaged in political activity and excessive lobbying. CBCA responded to Mr. Gavidia's attack in a May 27 letter to the mayor, which was made a part of the public record. Rather than address their call to retract his statements and apologize, Mr. Gavidia chose instead to resign his membership in CBCA. As Ms. Denslow just summarized, CBCA does not simply give money to the city as some form of tribute to secure information to pass on to our members or receive preferential debt forgiveness. CBCA's transactions with the city are above board, involve donations to improve our community, or payment of invoices where the CBCA engages city services to hold our events. CBCA does not engage in political activity. CBCA does not support or oppose candidates for elected office. CBCA does not pay any lobbyist. Members are, of course, free to engage in the political process in their individual capacities. CBCA will continue to defend itself, its members, and its thousands of volunteers from this coordinated smear campaign of anonymous letters, anonymous press releases, anonymous IRS complaints, and pointedly non-anonymous public comments from Mr. Gavidia and others. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ed. Janet, do we have anyone else?
Our next speaker is Frank. Frank, as I promote you to panelist, you will have 3 minutes to speak if you can unmute your microphone.
Good evening, City Council.
Good evening.
So we're all going to go back and forth here on what's fact and what isn't. So Treasurer Denslow, and I don't tread in chemistry, if you're going to tread in finances, this is a 2018 990. Well, it's not showing up to the camera, but at the bottom, there's a statement about signing under penalty of perjury. Understand Mr. Hartley's an attorney, so he should be familiar with the whole penalty of perjury thing. I have here the page in the 2018. It says the donation is to the Clayton Police Department for $10,500. The AIN might be the same, but they stated it's to the Clayton Police Department, which in fact is not true. So is it an error or fraud? It's one or the other, incompetence for all I know. The thing is that folks at CBCA say things. I never said that CBCA gives money in exchange for insider information. By the way, attorneys, insider information is a term used in my industry for nefarious stock transactions. No, I pose the question, Why do city officials, mayor, planning commissioner, police, etc., give reports to a private organization? Is it because they donate money? Why are they entitled to it? And those citizens like me who have been demanding town halls don't get them. It's great what you do for the community. But you know what? Councilmember Tillman likes to talk about equality. How about equality for all of us? All citizens, all voters, all taxpayers. I think we're entitled to it. So as for the other nefarious attacks that I believe Mr. Hartley's trying to connect me to, I already stated in the last meeting, I have no reason to hide behind anonymity. You guys all know that very well about me. I'm not afraid of anything. Whoever is doing this, I don't approve of the tactics, but it also tells me that there are some people pretty upset at CBCA for the things they've done. Lastly, about the late payments. In 2011, CBCA was behind to the tune of $25,000. In 2016, to the tune of $15,000. In your packets right now, there is the name of everyone who is behind on their property taxes. Was CBCA's name ever in a report? Raina, that was not a staff shortage. And you know what? I don't know you, but I like how you just carried water for them. Okay? This appears to be incompetence. I never made any accusations. The only reason I stepped up to defend myself is everyone from CBCA stepped up to attack me. Why? Because so many don't agree with me. I didn't run with their permission last year. Can't do that. Got to have their permission to run. Thank you very much. And hopefully this matter is now put to bed. I hope CBCA can pay their bills on time.
All right. Thank you. And now, Janet, do we have anyone else?
Our next speaker is Keith. Keith, as I promote you to panelist, if you can please unmute your microphone, you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
I don't see.
So this is a CBCA meeting now. Is that what we're doing?
I don't know what we're doing. I'm waiting for Keith. Janet?
I keep trying to promote him, but he seems to be stuck as attendee, so I can try allowing him to talk.
Oh, wait,
as
is that?
attendee.
Oh, it's Keith Hayden. Okay, Keith Hayden.
All right, Keith, if you could please unmute your microphone, you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
And Keith, you're speaking not as a representative of the transportation board now, right? Do we don't have Keith yet? No. Keith is still muted. Keith, can you unmute? Okay. Janet, we don't seem to be able to get to hear from Keith. Do we have anybody else in line now, or?
Mayor Wolf, Keith is the only hand raised, and I keep pressing the button to ask him to unmute, but it's not doing
Can you
anything.
give him the number to call in?
Sure. The number is 673-7304.
Okay.
Oh, wait, there he
There
is.
we go.
There you go. We heard you for a second, Keith.
Okay, am I still here there?
There you go.
Okay, sorry about that. Yes, I'm coming in now as a member of CBCA and a former council member as well. I've got comments regarding this ongoing negative, misleading allegations of unethical, if not illegal activities being made against the CBCA and the city of Clayton. These allegations, which sometimes use anonymous sources, are using examples of lawful, ethical activities, most of them, however, provided without full explanations, as well as unfounded charges to allege that some CBCA and city activities are improper, if not illegal, and should be examined and in some cases halted with no legitimate fact-based evidence to support this demand. This places the CBCA and the city in a position of defending themselves from unwarranted fictional allegations to defend and protect their reputation and integrity. My focus tonight is on allegations questioning the sharing of results from public city planning commission and city council meetings at public CBCA monthly meetings, with the inference that the information is being shared with CBCA club members before it is shared with the general public and that this insider information is being shared by city representatives in return for financial considerations from the city. This allegation impacts the reputation of both the CBCA and the city of Clayton and attacks the lawful, informative sharing of public information with our community. I'm referring to the allegation that you've heard about already this evening, that CBCA is learning about official city decisions, and in this case, it was a planning commission decision from a city representative before the general population, and that this insider information was being shared in return for general donations that the CBCA was making to the city of Clayton. This information that was referred to, it was not insider information and was not shared with the CBCA prior to the public. It was the outcome of a public planning commission meeting, which is a matter of public record that anyone attending the meeting would also have learned if they would have attended, observed, or read the minutes of the meeting. Sharing this public information at a public meeting of concerned citizens, such as the CBCA, interested in what is happening in Clayton, goes to the heart of our representative democracy. The added allegation that the supposedly insider information was shared in return for financial donations to the city was based on the misleading belief that the information was not available to the general public and that the CBCA had paid for that information, again, with no credible evidence, as you've seen tonight. And last, and probably most importantly, the improper conclusion of these misleading allegations was that all such reports of public city council and planning commission meetings to the public CBCA meetings should be halted immediately. This demand is an affront to free speech and the public's right to know the results of our representative government in public meetings here in the city of Clayton. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Keith. Okay, Janet, do we have anyone else?
Our next speaker is Bassam. Bassam, as I promote you to panelist, if you can please unmute your microphone, you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I mean, wow. Let's connect the dots. I am not a CBCA member, so let's put that clear. Recently, Commissioner Gavidia attacked the chair of the Planning Commission about sharing information with the CBCA. That was a lie. And Chair Shapiro addressed that in the Planning Commission meeting last Planning Commission meeting, and called Commissioner Gavidia, quote, a liar. And for someone who is proud of his service as a Marine Corps, being truthful is a big thing. And Commissioner Gavidia betrayed his oath and kept the big lie. Last week, Commissioner Gavidia addressed the City Council and continued his attack on the CBCA, requesting or mentioning Form 990, the famous Form 990 he mentioned also tonight. Also, Mr. Diaz mentioned Form 990 tonight. It's for a private entity, but at the same time, let's understand that Mr. Wan requested all information of the CBCA interactions with the city of Clayton. And suddenly all that information now, it's in Mr. Gavidia's hands and Mr. Diaz's hands. And they both tonight mentioned the $10,500 from that information. I mean, are we kidding ourselves? It's clear. Mr. Wan, Mr. Diaz, sharing information with Mr. Gavidia about this organization and this organized attack of a local entity that for years was a helpful hand to Clayton. Mr. Wan, your allies in Diaz, Gavidia, and Save Clayton are spreading false information to the public. Information to the public. You go ahead and share confidential information and then claim that somebody who shares public information is wrong. I'm sure you will deny and gaslight, as you always do, with your half-truths, and don't see the hypocrisy in it. Let's work for Clayton and not for personal interest, as Gavidia, Diaz, and the silent you is doing, and the rest of Save Clayton people. Go ahead, you can gaslight now. Thank you.
Thank you, Bassam. And now, Janet, do we have anyone else?
Yeah, I'll respond to that. Look, I don't know what your problem is, Bassam, but you always give me shit, so whatever the fuck. Like, someone sent anonymous letters to the city. They asked for information. It was interesting. So I asked, where's the detail? I'm an accountant, I'm an auditor. I asked for it. I looked at it. There's nothing there. It looks like a bunch of accounting records, which, you know, to most people is pretty boring. So to me, I think it's much ado about nothing. I don't know what your problem is with me, but whatever, dude. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this is not a CBCA meeting. If you guys want to bicker in the street, go for it. But this is kind of a waste of time. So keep going on. Like, to me, none of this really matters. It's not important. And as far as I'm concerned, like, this has gone like 3 meetings too long. So do whatever you want to do.
If I may add something, everybody's talking about the 990. Well, I hate to tell you this, Bassam, but it's an IRS requirement that the entity publish it on their website. I don't find them on the website. Do you? It's a requirement it's a public document. Any agency that is a 501c3 must file a 990 annually. I did it when I was on the United Way board for 14 years. And it's on the website. So those attorneys and former attorneys that sit on the CBCA board and are members, maybe one that hasn't practiced since 1987, doesn't realize what the 990 is and how it's supposed to be public information as a nonprofit organization. I suggest they look up the rules. Thank you.
Janet, do we have anyone else?
Oh yeah, I forgot. You know, the document, it's funny because you say that the information is confidential. It's really not. All the information is public. So with the records of the city, all the financial transactions of the city in any way is all public. Anyone wants to see it, feel free to request. There's a way to do a Public Records Act request, PRA or something like that. And you can request anything. You can request details of everyone's paycheck. Probably there's some limits there. You can request details of every payment ever made, everything ever received for the end of time. Go nuts. Like, if someone has a question, it should be totally transparent. If we got all the council members, we got all these letters that you all got, and I don't know. I usually don't even check my mail, so someone had to tell me that I got these letters. But apparently we got letters. So I'm like, all right, well, the first thing you do is look at the evidence. Look at the evidence. It's all public. Nothing. If you want to see like 10,000 records of check transactions, which are essentially listed even in the minutes, you can go nuts. So as far as that goes, is, you know, sharing information or whatever, if someone has a question, ask it, you'll get the answer. Direct questions always get direct answers. So you want to know something, just ask. It's easy.
Okay. Janet, do we have anyone else? I'm sorry, Holly, yes.
Yes, I just wanted to ask, what does a financial sponsor mean in terms of what exactly is it that we're doing for the 4th of July and the concerts in the Grove?
Who are you asking?
Raina.
Asking Raina?
Yeah.
I don't think Raina was the one who used the word financial sponsor. She said fiscal agent.
She did not.
But I don't even think that's defined. I think those are just made up terms.
Okay, whatever term we're using, what are we doing on behalf of the 4th of July and the concerts in the Grove?
So briefly, since this is not on our agenda, the 4th of July is a city event. It is different from the concerts in the Grove. So just know that that's a city event. So it gets some donation funds, but it also has city funds. The concerts in the Grove, the city essentially just acts as the entity that takes in the money, puts it in the bank, and then writes a check against that money for expenses of the concerts in the Grove. The city is not a per se financial sponsor of those events, but we are the fiscal caretaker of the donation dollars, and we run it through our bank account in a separate fund.
Okay, let's bring this back to the public comment here, and let's see if there's anyone else that has something not on the agenda they'd like to speak to.
Mayor Wolf, at this time, I do not have any other hands raised on. Oh, I have one hand that just went up. Scott, as I promote you to panelist, if you can please unmute your microphone, you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Hey guys, how y'all doing tonight?
Good evening. We can hear you.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for your participation, Jeff. It's nice to see your face, if only for a second. It's interesting hearing everybody, talk about their experiences, meeting with local officials and leadership in the Bay Area. And Jeff, you come in at the end and you're like, oh crap, you said, oh shit. I'm sorry, that's actually what you said. You said, oh shit, I can barely check my email. So just interesting, but nice to see you on board, my man. But Jim, I got to say something to you, man. As a business owner, I'm a member of several professional organizations, and I'm a member of those organizations by choice. You can look up if you want, man. We're talking here. You don't need to look away. I can't even imagine being a part of these organizations by choice and then choosing to impugn their character. If you don't like what they're doing, then don't voluntarily choose to be a part of them, Jim. To me, honestly, CBCA should have booted your ass the first time you disparaged their character. Then you refused to deliver a proper apology, and CBCA leadership still forgave you because they are trying to be bigger than you, because you're acting like nothing more than a politician at the moment. You're creating a political issue where one does not exist, and it's sickening for all of us to watch, Jim. I'm sorry that you're choosing to stoop to this level, and I'm sorry that you've been telling your minions to anonymously attack people who disagree with you. Many residents in Clayton are aware of the vile and disgusting letters that have been going around regarding CBCA and residents that disagreed with folks like you guys. And I just want everyone to know, Jim, and your lackey Frank Gavidia are orchestrating the effort of this vile and disgusting behavior from their minions. And Frank, I heard your little speech earlier, but none of us buy it for a second, so please stop. You know nothing about this. Be careful, Frank. Was me you guys attacked a couple of weeks ago, and wonder who you have your targets set on now. But I'm not gonna stand for it anymore, guys. It's sickening to watch, like I said earlier, because politicians are acting in their own self-interest to impugn the character of an organization that they voluntarily choose to be a part of. Jim, why don't you just drop out, man? At least Gavidia quit. The entire organization had a mixer this past Thursday night, and people from all walks of life were there, people who feel differently about all kinds of things politically. But Jim, you can look up, it's okay. You chose not to be there. You have such a strong opinion about CBCA, yet you chose not to show up to their event in order to bash them whenever you get a chance in forums like this. Really? It shows us a lot about you and your motivations and your character, Jim. As you said earlier, man, flim flam. Flim flam, my brother. Thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you, Scott. And Janet, do we have anyone else?
Mayor Wolf, I do not have any other hands raised on this item.
All right, folks, then we are going to close the
Wait a minute.
public
Hang on a
comment.
minute. Mr. Denslow, I have been a member of the CBCA longer than you've even existed, I think. And I started back in 1979 playing in every single golf tournament. I was the chair of the Art and Wine twice. I was vice president of membership. I am committed to them and will continue to be committed. Don't talk to me about being a member of the CBCA. I can count on one hand how long you've been. Thank you.
So we are now going to close the public comment period and move on to item number 8, public hearings, which we have none tonight. And now we'll go to our action items. Item 9A, a resolution of the City Council establishing city protocol for the honoring and recognition of citizens, volunteers, employees, and elected officials. And our city manager will run this part.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. The item before you this evening came about as a result of some questions that were asked in January of this year regarding some gifts that were provided to council members upon rotating off the council, and a question both about the process and about the cost of those gifts. The cost information is included in your report this evening, and it appears that over the past number of years, there has not been a well-defined process for identifying and deciding on gifts or recognition for certain milestones. It was described to me in the past as having often been mayor's prerogative. So in response to the questions, of which you've now gotten the answers to the questions that were posed, I am bringing forward and recommending this evening that the council consider adopting a protocol resolution which defines the parameters and milestones that would be recognized. This is very similar, thank you in advance, to the city of San Pablo, where I was prior to coming to Clayton, and they'd had this process in place for quite some time, and it really made a very smooth process for both allowing for city recognition with public funds for milestones, but by putting some parameters around it so that it was clear and it was understood in advance, essentially how those decisions were going to be made and what the criteria were. In most cases, the recognition is really relatively low cost and pretty straightforward. There are two places where there are slightly higher dollar amounts. One is the recognition on for leaving office for elected officials. That amount is recommended at $250. That is an amount that for personalized recognition is not required to be reported to the FPPC. If it is some other type of gift at that amount, it's acceptable, but is reportable. And the other is city employee service milestones. Those amounts that are listed in the proposed resolution are consistent with the amounts that have been in place for some time here in the city. I've just captured them in the same document, so we have everything in one place. And it puts the running of the recognition, if you will. The recommendation is that it be shared between the city clerk and the city manager, so that it essentially runs from a staff level and is sort of taken out of the role directly of the city council for those city provided recognitions. There is, of course, always the ability to do other types of recognition. So with that, I would be happy to answer any questions regarding the items in the protocol or the report. Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager. Because yes, I see Councilmember Diaz's hand.
Yeah, and I want to thank the city manager for taking up the baton on this matter. This thing came to light at the end of the last election cycle back in late September, October, and I didn't realize, quite frankly, and I had been on the city council for 8 years, that these gifts for parting members were being handed out as she has declared or characterized mayor's prerogative. I want to say, first of all, that is such an overly used phrase. I was mayor in 2017. Never once did I use mayor's prerogative, but it was used very liberally in prior administrations. And what concerned me more than anything, that it appeared that public funds were being spent without any oversight concurrence by anybody or any document. And that's what really alerted me to that matter. And I appreciate her going through this. In fact, I like the way she's lumped now service awards for employees, et cetera. But I can tell you, when I finished my term as mayor, I got a plaque with a gavel on it. If it costs $70, that was well, whatever. It was a gift they gave. And but when I saw rocking chairs for $480 and lamps for $300, I said, wait a minute, without any oversight. Anyway, so I appreciate what she's done in doing the research, and hopefully this kind of a vehicle will preclude any future lack of oversight when a council member, whether they were reelected or not reelected or chose not to seek office again, got a parting gift. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. You got to be careful though, Jim, because you're the longest serving person here, and so you won't get your rocking chair at this time.
Gene, I don't have a place for the rocking chair. In fact, one former mayor said that they would take the plaque off of it and put my name on it if I wanted it, and I go, no, thank you.
I have a question. Is mayor's prerogative defined?
I don't know. That would be up to the mayor, I would guess, to answer.
You're the mayor. Is it defined?
I don't believe that it is
former
defined.
Mayors.
And I'm not, maybe that's a rhetorical question.
And I'm not against this, by the way.
The answer is it's not, and anyone who uses the term is doing it wrong. So I don't think that exists. It's a made up thing, and it's not real. So if we could put that to bed for now or for good, that'd be great.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. It got liberally used in the past.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. And looking at this proposal, when I'm done being mayor, I will forego the flowers and the fruit basket.
Which we missed because we don't have the Saturday morning, whatever the market was. We used to get a free basket of grapes or something.
Yeah, that's right, from the farmer's market. Anybody else have some questions or comments or anything for Raina? About this, the figures here or anything? Or do we have a motion? Or no, we should probably go to public comment, huh? Let's open up the public comment, Janet. And if anybody has anything they'd like to talk about here on this resolution.
Mayor Wolf, I have one hand raised. Frank,
sure.
As I promote you to panelist, if you can please unmute your microphone, you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Mayor Wolf, I am glad to hear you are on board with the idea. You guys are
why would I not be?
You know what? Politicians already get too much as it is. For some of you, if you're in the in crowd, your portrait will hang in the city. I wonder how much that costs. I don't think that anyone who serves in office should get a thing from the taxpayer's dollar. You guys get a paycheck. I used to get a paycheck when I was enlisted. I just got ripped by another colleague of mine that has no idea what it means to be a U.S. Marine. I get thanked for my service, and a lot of us would say the government thanks me twice a month. They don't thank you very much for doing your duty there. You guys are doing your duty. You get a stipend. Frankly, I think that none of us, even the planning commissioner, should get a nickel. We do our duty, and then we walk. You get to hang out with other people. You get to go out to all these dinners. God knows what other expenses, although the city here doesn't cover a lot from what I know. But you already get your accolades serving. I don't think that any money should be spent. Raina, that thing should be maybe for city employees only, but no one in office should get a thing. And the fact that rocking chairs and other things were bought with taxpayer dollars, that whole fiduciary duty thing with the taxpayers' dollars went out the window. Thank you very much. I hope you guys make the right decision.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else, Janet?
Our next speaker is Bassam. Bassam, as I promote you to panelist, if you can please unmute your microphone, you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Sorry to use the public speaking thing, but I just been mentioned by Mr. Gavidia, and I want to remind him that U.S. Marines don't lie, and U.S. Marines don't break oath. You're an oath breaker, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Janet. Do we have anybody else in line?
Our next speaker is Karen. Karen, as I promote you to panelist, if you can please unmute your microphone, you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Hi, this is Karen Amos, and I just had a question. I'm in favor of having guidelines for recognizing either elected officials or city staff, but I seem to recall being asked to contribute as a private citizen to gifts made to previous longstanding members of city council. And so my question is, how much city money has actually been used? Or is that an assumption that's being made and the dollars that were used to purchase gifts were actually made by private citizens? And I think that's something that should be clarified, because I wouldn't want a misassumption to be out there that's making people feel as if taxpayer dollars are being used in a way that wasn't really understood by taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you. Janet, do we have anyone else?
Do we have a record or detail of that? I'm curious. I'm probably sure we don't have it on hand, but it would be interesting. I do know that, when former Mayor Pierce left, I organized the private contribution to her gifts, to one of her gifts actually, in recognition of her longstanding service. So I think that is, Karen makes a good point. There are several things that are done from private citizens to recognize, those who serve, and I think that's great. I would never want to, diminish the contributions that our citizens make in that regard. It is pretty clear, though, looking through the evidence, that there are taxpayer dollars that are used in some fashion for many of these things, and I think the history and tradition has been called out pretty regularly that that's been done. So while there is definitely a distinction, I do think that there's both going on. So just a clarification there.
Thank you. Janet, did you say we had someone else in line, or?
Mayor Wolf, I do not have any other hands raised on this item.
Okay, then we will close the public comment on this part and bring it back to council for further discussion, resolution, a motion.
Yeah, I did
Yes.
a little bit of research with our former interim city manager on this, and it appeared from what research she had done, just so to clarify, if a council member served one term or 4 years, they got a lamp, $300, whatever it was. If they served 2 terms or more, then they were given a rocking chair to the tune of $480. I talked to at least 4 or 5 former mayors and council members, and there's probably at least a half a dozen rocking chairs out there and at least 4 or 5 lamps. So if that gives you got the numbers of what they cost, they're in the report, that can give you somewhat of a sense of what was spent. Anyway, I'm just happy, and I agree with Jeff that let's diffuse that term mayor's prerogative. I heard it so many times I became ill, but anyway, thank you.
Yes, Peter.
No, I'm just want to reiterate what Jeff and what Karen said earlier. It's my understanding from previous conversations that a lot of that was donated through collection. So it would be great to understand if we're overinflating a concern that may be here. Regardless, I like the training wheels that are on this resolution, so I move to adopt the resolution as it's written.
Well, before that, I would say I'm totally comfortable with the things for private citizens and volunteers, especially and employee and staff. I think recognizing staff contributions is pretty typical in every organization. So, or not necessarily contributions, but just various activities that are outlined in the document. So I think that's totally legit. I would say the taxpayer dollars should not be given in any fashion to public officials. I think that sets a bad tone. It's a bad message to say that you get elected and then you get money from the taxpayer. I mean, if it's $100 or $50 or $1,000 or we're Bell, California, I think it's bad. So I would say that the policy as written, I wouldn't support. I would say elected officials should get zero for any reason whatsoever. And then all the other stuff for employees, which the staff are, volunteers and other citizens, totally cool. But elected officials should get nothing.
I will second the motion that Peter made as stated here. And a public official can refuse to accept a gift like that. Although I don't think anybody in recent memory refused.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table, and Holly, did you need to say something?
I was just going to ask City Manager Schwartz if I missed in here, or if you can let us know how we can decline it before it's purchased. So if there's at what point, I think it should be stipulated in here if we're going to vote on this, the way it's written, should we stick in here how we can decline it, and at what point do we need to do that? A month in advance, 3 months in advance?
Now.
Purchase a flight, could be now. If you purchase something and someone wants to decline it, even a volunteer or a staff member, if it's purchased and it's flowers, then the money's already spent. So I think something needs to be added in there, a timeline in which they can decline it in advance.
I'm on the record that I will not take the flowers or the fruit basket.
I mean, I think it's somewhat inappropriate to vote on something that is purely for the benefit of ourselves, to say that, yes, I want to vote in favor of giving myself something. I just think that seems unseemly. And like, I don't know if it qualifies as unethical, but it does violate my personal ethics. I would say that's bad. And, that's how you get Bell, California. That's how you get people voting to award themselves from the public coffer. And that is bad. So
After hearing the discussion, I withdraw my second. I agree with that. I don't think we ought to get a rocking chair or a rocking horse, like some people have gotten. I don't agree with it. So
I understand that, but the question is whether or not this is the protocol that we're going to be following.
Yeah, I would follow the protocol that the employees, volunteers, and other citizens, as described in the agenda, is all good. But I would extract and excise anything mentioning council members and specifically say elected officials do not get gifts from the public funds. If people want to organize private gifts or recognition in any way, I would encourage that. I think that's great. But to the extent that it's taxpayer dollars, then it should be zero.
How do you feel about our stipend?
I think we should kill the stipend.
So that means no elected official should be paid at all.
The stipend, Mayor Wolf, the stipend is not on the agenda, so that would be a separate discussion. This is just the gifts.
Thank you. In that case, however, I do agree with you with regard to the language that you were just saying with regard to the staff and employees. So we can look to amend the language. Yes, Peter.
So I'm hearing you and I don't have any energy one way or the other. So I'm looking at the resolution and I'd like to modify it by adopting the resolution sans Exhibit A, which is the compensation for elected officials.
I'll second it.
So we're going to vote on amending this, the language, specifically to eliminate
Exhibit A, which is
elected
page
officials.
160.
And can I ask, we want to make clear in the body of the resolution that there will be no gifts for council members so that there is no question going forward, because if you just eliminate Exhibit A.
Absolutely. Accordingly.
So that's your motion, Peter, then?
Yes, it is.
And seconded by Tillman?
Correct.
Okay. So let's call the vote. Janet?
Councilmember Diaz,
Yes.
Councilmember Tillman,
Yes.
Councilmember Juan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Cloven,
Yes.
Mayor Wolf.
Yes. Okay, so that will be amended. All right, we're moving on to action item B, discussion of rejection of the liability claim filed by Miriam Mahari for the alleged property damage. Councilmember Diaz, this is yours.
Yeah, again, this was one I feel we did not have all information at hand when it came to us initially. I will agree that we received some receipts from the Warner Tree Company that listed on there that they have an arborist on their payroll or a member of their staff. However, in looking at the detail of the actual work that was performed on said tree that fell on said property and damaged fence and the other, we may not have had the full facts in front of us. So as a result of that, I don't believe we should have declined the homeowner's claim. I think that was a defective tree that the city was to maintain, and all they did was trim it every now and then. In fact, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the barricades are still down there on Mitchell Canyon and Marsh Creek, for whatever reason. But I don't think it should have been declined. And I'm asking us to readdress that. That's why the issue's on the.
My question would be, I didn't see anything new in the presentation here. Is there new evidence that has come to light that made you change your mind on this, or what is the new evidence?
Yeah, the fact that we were told that there were annual or semi-annual or biannual inspections. I don't believe that was the case. I believe that there was maintenance done, trimming the trees or the leaves and all that. So I don't think we had factually all the correct information, and that I think the city should be obligated to take care of the damage provided to the fence and to the homeowner's roof as well. That's my point.
Maybe we could take public comment, and then we can dispense.
Anybody else have any other questions? All right, we will go to public comment, and let's open the public comment on this. Janet, do we have anyone that wishes to speak?
Mayor Wolf, I do not have any hands raised on this item.
Thank you. And we will close the public comment and move it back to council. Questions, comments?
So I mean, just
Go ahead. Nope, you go ahead.
I think on this issue, Holly, you abstained because I think we didn't have the information at the time, or you didn't feel comfortable that we had all the information available at the time. You know, I think what was purported was that, you know, when we submitted the claim to, is it MPA or insurance? Yes. So when we submitted the claim to MPA, they declined the claim based on the information provided, right? And so it wasn't necessarily us declining the claim, it was the MPA declining the claim or recommending that we vote to decline the claim. So I guess there's kind of a two-step process. You know, what we had asserted was that there were inspections done, and when you actually, you know, over time we found the Raina, you had found the documentation around the evidence of inspection, and really what it was the annual, or not the annual, that's the wrong word, the periodic trimming of the tree, and there's no indication found during the trimming. Well, my understanding is that we don't engage, it's Warner, right? So we don't engage Warner as arborists to examine every tree. We have, I don't know how many trees we have, but we have a lot. It's like hundreds or more, right? So it's not really practical to engage an arborist to examine every tree because that's really expensive and we don't do that. So, you know, I think at best, I would say that, you know, we probably submitted information to MPA that was not exactly accurate, in that we did not examine the tree for its health. We did maintenance, which is normal. Now, whether or not the doctrine of I forget what it's called now off the top of my head, but there's some doctrine that says that we're not liable because we're a city and we don't have to pay for things if we didn't have knowledge of it beforehand and all this other stuff. That would likely still apply regardless of whether or not we did more than just maintenance. Whether if we did inspection and we found nothing, only to the extent that we did an actual inspection and found something, would the doctrine probably be defeated. The fact that we just don't do inspection would probably still cover us in the thing. So it seems like, I mean, I have a problem that we submitted incorrect information. Like that to me seems bad. We should always strive to be accurate. But at the same time, I don't know that it makes much difference in that doctrine. Now, that, you know, my concern on this issue is that should we elect to not adhere to the recommendation of the MPA and we take it upon ourselves to take action, then it sets some kind of precedent for our hundreds, if not thousands of trees in the city that will probably at some point fall. So, you know, if I'm a citizen and I see that the city pays out when a tree falls, I'm going to be like, pay me all the money. But if the city doesn't pay, I'm going to say like, well, can you please either examine the tree or just cut it down? Like, I mean, everyone has insurance, like, well, not everyone, but most people have insurance. The reason why we have insurance is for unforeseen accidents like this. And, you know, my understanding is that the resident has insurance, they pay the deductible, then the insurance picks up the difference. I don't know what the deductible is, but the most I would say is, you know, some kind of deductible sharing, but even that seems weirdly precedent setting that I would be concerned about. But I do think that we should strive to provide accurate information, because saying that we examined the tree and there was nothing wrong with it, I just don't think that's accurate. So I don't know if anyone has information to contradict that.
Oh, did you want to jump in there?
Yeah,
Yeah?
I was just,
Yeah,
I'm,
okay.
Me? Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Yes, I was,
Sorry.
yes, before Jeff was going to say something. I was just going to ask what the intent was here tonight, whether or not it was to ask for an action item to be brought forward at another meeting or just discuss it as we just did. Yes, I did abstain from the last one, but the next day I followed up with Raina just to finish asking for clarification on the questions that I was asking in the middle of a vote during the last meeting, because I'm kind of prolonging that. And she answered my questions and I received that I needed. So if I had to vote on that again now, it would be a yes. There wasn't, that was the only reason why I abstained. So I just wanted to let everybody know that and ask what is the goal of this discussion right now.
In my view, it's to pay the claim that the homeowner asked for. That's my view.
So then you would want it to come to a future meeting, because it's just a discussion. It's not an action item.
Okay,
right now.
whatever we have to do procedure, ask that counselor that we pay $100,000 a year. She's silent. Ask her that question.
Well,
Molly, you want to jump in?
I didn't know, Mayor, if you wanted me to answer that or if that was a
Yes.
rhetorical question by Councilmember Diaz.
I would suggest, if I were to do anything, I would suggest that if we wanted to take action, then we should resubmit the claim with accurate information and let the MPA evaluate it based on the actual facts, and then take their action there. Whether if they come back and say something, then we could do something if we want, or appeal it based on correcting the factual record.
So if I may, and I did not go back and listen to the prior meeting today. I had intended to, and I did not get a chance to. Based on the information that MPA has in its report, it appears that our maintenance folks provided to MPA the schedule of the schedule of trimming that Warner had done on that tree on 3 prior occasions, and our assessment that there wasn't anything that we were aware of that indicated that the tree was in ill health. In my mind, that was an evaluation of the tree when it was trimmed. There was no indication that it was in ill health by those who they may not be a certified arborist, but they are people who spend all day long trimming trees. And there was no evidence that was identified at that point. So if your assessment that we provided, that we may have not provided accurate information to MPA was based on what I said, I would apologize for not being clear in my own speaking, but the information that was provided to MPA was about simply the trimming that was done and our assessment of what wasn't identified as a part of that trimming, as well as our own maintenance staff's assessment that we were never aware of any issues with that tree. To decide whether or not there's an action that needs to be taken with respect to following up with MPA and potentially resubmitting the claim, if it's based on what my verbal comments were, I would rely on the written record over I would my verbal comments some time ago, right after I started.
So I guess I was referring it was partly it was in part due to the verbal comments. However, in the MPA response, they indicate themselves. Is it MPA? Sorry, I'm pulling it up right now in the agenda. It's in the agenda packet. They indicate it themselves in the evaluation of liability. They say the city had no prior complaints of the tree need maintenance. Okay, it has reasonable system in place for inspecting and maintaining its trees. So that piece. Do we have a reasonable system in place for inspecting and maintaining our trees? And it has regularly trimmed the tree. I think that part's true. So I was keying on that fact pattern that was listed in the document. Now, if we do have a regular system in place for inspecting and maintaining its trees, or our trees, I'm not aware of it. I don't think we engage Warner to do that. Is that accurate?
That is correct. Although we do, as our maintenance crews go around the city, identify places where there are trees that are overgrown or appear to potentially have issues. We ask Warner to go trim for safety and other purposes, and they look at the tree when they trim it. So is that a reasonable system for trimming and evaluating at the time we trim the tree? I would say yes.
I think it covers trimming, but I'm not sure we engage. And if we ask them, I don't know if they would represent that they are inspecting for health during their trimming sessions, because that's probably a liability they don't want to carry. That'd be my guess.
The challenge with this tree was root rot, which is not readily visible at the above surface level. That's pretty clearly written in the report.
It's unknowable, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, how could we? I mean, even if we trim it and inspect it, the root rot itself is something we can see, and that's what caused the damage. It's clearly written in the report that way. So,
is it ever possible to know that, even if you hire someone? Hey, I think there's root rot. Can you look at it? I'm not an arborist.
I'm not either. But from just a practical standpoint of a city maintenance department, I mean, I think we're exposing ourselves to precedence and liability long term if we take this on any more than we already have. That's just my take on it, like you said originally.
Yeah, and I that is my biggest concern as well. But I just, in the report it says we do this, and so it would be easy for someone to say, how do you do it? So maybe we shouldn't assert that we do this thing when it's not necessary to be covered by the immunity doctrine that is cited. I think in this in the municipal code, not municipal code, sorry, I forget. I don't have this at the top of my fingers, but there's this doctrine where, what's that?
It's Government Code 835. I think your dangerous condition of public property is what
that one. Even if we did not do this regular examination for the health, we still get covered under this thing. So why not we just not say that we do this thing? Because then we open ourselves up to like showing that we don't do this thing. Just don't say that, and we still get covered. Win-win. Be accurate.
The bottom line, though, is that this, pardon me?
I was just saying understood, and that's a conversation I can have with MPA to clarify, you know, what we said versus how they interpreted it, et cetera. But
yeah, because when we look at the
go
document,
forward.
I mean, I think it opens it up, and I just, that's not prudent. Like, we need to be really discreet and specific so that we don't like call into question the activities that we do or don't do.
And
on
the
a
question,
go-forward basis, yes, I think that's a great clarification with them.
the question is who stated that, or is that an assumption by the insurance company?
Yeah, I don't know. It's in their report.
Yeah, and I agree with you that this would be, I think probably said this back in the day, a couple of months ago when we went over this, that this would be a precedent-setting event were we to revisit this. I think that while resubmitting is viable, I think it's an exercise in futility. I think this is going to be denied again. And we are covered with regard to this. And you're right, every act of God, tree falling down is going to come under people wanting to sue the city or collect from the city. And that just doesn't seem like a viable option to me.
I mean, I tell you, if my tree falls on my neighbor, though, he's going to sue me. So just saying, I'm not covered under 835. So
yes, I get that. That almost happened to me, actually. Well, anyway, missed my fence by about 2 inches. Anyway, any other discussion, comments, questions, motions? Or we don't need a motion on this, I guess.
Well,
direct-
Public comment.
Did we not do public comment yet?
We did public comment early.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we did that one.
This time we did the public comment.
Yeah,
I would
closed it right officially.
And we
Yeah,
closed
we
it.
did.
Yes.
I would just ask or request that city staff clarify with MPA their understanding of our process and to see if they want to take any action and leave it to them to see if they would like to clarify their documentation, because I think that would be nice.
That's reasonable.
Absolutely, I concur.
I can do that.
Any other direction, comments? No? Do you have what you need now, Raina? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so we can move on. We've got item C, 9C. Update to recognition of the Cultural Heritage Months, and our city manager is going to take that one.
Thank you, Mayor. Just very briefly, since the council last took up the list of cultural Heritage Month and other significant celebrations, a few requests have come from council members regarding adding or subtracting items from this list. And so they are brought back this evening for consideration by the council if the council wishes to make any changes to the list. And they're highlighted on the attachment list of the celebrations and are also listed in the report. And with that, I'm happy to take any direction on changes the council wishes to make.
I would like to add one more change to it. My recommendation for removing Columbus Day was because it's a federal holiday. And after our discussion of the last discussion that we had regarding this list, Juneteenth became a federal holiday as well. So we could also remove that one as having a proclamation going forward, since it is also a federally nationalized holiday. We don't have MLK Day on there. We don't need to have Columbus Day since that's a federal holiday. And then my suggestion is to remove Juneteenth.
Okay, any other comments, discussions?
Public comment?
I'm just looking through one thing here real quick in case I had a question. Okay. Okay, so anybody else have any questions of the staff or anybody? No? All right, Janet, do we have anybody? We'll open the public comment now. And if anybody has any comments about this, please raise your hand.
Mayor Wolf, I do not have any hands raised on this item.
Okay, then we will close the public comment on this. Bring it back to council for discussion or motion. I had a question, but I guess it's, no, okay. Do we have any comments or motion?
I'd move it. Sounds good.
Does that motion include the addition?
With
that-
Removing
adjustments that Councilmember Tillman mentioned.
And I'll second.
I'll second. Be a second.
Okay, so we have a first and a second, and Janet, please call the vote.
Councilmember Diaz,
Yes.
Councilmember Tillman,
Yes.
Councilmember Juan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Cloven,
Aye.
Mayor Wolf.
Yes. Okay, now moving on to 9D, discussion regarding potential changes to the city sign ordinance. And again, Councilmember Diaz, this is yours.
Yeah. And again, I thank the city manager for bringing this up at the request that I made earlier. My only concern is that I'm telling you, we're getting sign proliferation like crazy, and I'm not sure what it should be, what it shouldn't be. And I think it needs a thorough analysis. But one thing that concerns me most is length of time that signs should be up. I know that in the case of political signs, they have to be taken down, or put up, I don't know how many days before the election and taken down sometime afterward. But these other signs that seem to be proliferating all over the community seem to have no time limit. And that's my question. And I don't know the answer. I leave it to this astute body that I serve with to come up with a recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, the thing that you mentioned about length of time for political signs and whatnot have to come up and down at a certain time. You know, I think that was clarified in our last meeting that we talked about this. So that's referring to signs in the public right of way. And we should be clear if we're talking about the public right of way versus private property. In private property, that time is not a factor. The temporary nature of the sign refers not to the length of time the sign is up, but the manner of which it is displayed. So it's not about if you're in for 10 days or 20 days or 100 days, it's you did not erect an edifice to hold your sign in a permanent way. You rather put it up with something more temporary in nature. So I think that's the distinction to be clear on for private property.
Okay.
Did I capture your thoughts, Mala? Because I know that I'm regurgitating what you said.
Yes, thank you, Councilmember Juan. This was discussed in some details a couple of years back when the council considered it.
Well, let's
that
find
was from memory.
And I know we have new people on the council, but that was pretty much verbatim. So let's see if there's anyone in the public. Open the public comment for this discussion. And Janet, do we have any hands raised?
Mayor Wolf, I have one hand raised. Frank, as I promote you to panelist, if you can please unmute your microphone, you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Good evening, City Council, once again. So let's talk about oaths, since that's come up again by some people who have no idea what they mean. Councilmember Diaz and I took an oath to the U.S. Constitution, not to a politician, not to the city of Clayton, not to CBCA. Haha, that's meant as a joke for everyone out there. No, but seriously, those of us who took the oath of enlistment and read that document from end to end and know that our lives were on the line to defend not some politician, but the document itself. The First Amendment is an absolute right, period. There are many people I disagree with politically. But if someone wants to display a sign on their house, I believe when we had the Planning Commission meeting, Councilmember Cloven, the term "I love bacon" came up a lot. Don't care if you love bacon. Don't care if you love this politician or that politician. Don't care if you love this ideology or that ideology. You have a right to do it. I spoke about this more than once. I love the American flag, though I am the son of immigrants. I may as well be one because I grew up in that country and I've been called every name in the book. But I still love the American flag, yet people burn it. And you know what? As a former United States Marine, I would die. Let me repeat that, die, for people to have the right to burn that flag. I've lived in another country where there is no right to freedom of speech. Most Americans take their silly little rights for granted because they have no clue what it's like to live elsewhere. We should not be evaluating anything. Everyone who's perpetually offended over some sign or some flag, if I want to put the "Don't Tread on Me" flag in front of my house, so be it. You have no right to tell me to take it down, just like I have no right to tell you to take down whatever you're waving in front of your house. It's called freedom of speech and is one of the greatest rights in this great nation that we have the privilege of being able to live in. Thank you very much, and I hope you guys make the right decision.
Thank you. And Janet, do we have anyone else?
Mayor Wolf, I have another hand raised. Couple hands just went up. Karen, as I promote you to panelist, if you can please unmute your microphone, you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Hi again.
Hello
I guess
again.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. I guess I just wanted to ask make some comments, but make sure this is thought about as well. I do agree with Frank. If people want to put up a sign, it's free speech to put up a sign. What I do wonder about, though, and if you want to keep it up, you can keep it up. But what I do wonder about is how do we address, or are there any ordinances, regulations that address the size and or the placement, and what I mean by that is the height, is it going to cover your entire house? Is there something, I'm not trying to limit someone's ability to speak their mind and express their feelings, but is there any governance around how it's presented? And I say that because, you know, if you do live near someone who doesn't share your views, they have a right to express their views. You have a right to not like them. You can put your own signs up, but are you going to get into a sign war where everyone's going to have billboards in their yards? And what does that mean for the neighborhood? And what's that going to cause in terms of escalation among neighbors? And is there anything out there to govern that? Not trying to restrict the right, just perhaps a sign size. And I know we do have things like that for our political signs. So I thought maybe it would fall into that vein. That's all. Thank you.
To clarify, we don't have that for political signs. The law, the municipal code doesn't make a distinction between the nature of the sign. When we're talking about temporary non-commercial signs, there is no content. There's no content criteria for any kind of limits. The limits that we do have currently in our municipal code indicate the size of sign in an individual case of 4 by 4, so 16 square feet, with no aggregate number of signs on any residential property. So that's the current municipal code as it stands now. And to your other question about, is there a limit? There have been cases where cities have imposed limits and they've been upheld by the courts in various manner. And so we, in the past, when we took up this issue, we looked to those precedent to see like what would be defensible in keeping with the spirit of trying to maintain people's ability to express themselves, as well as not creating sign blight, litter, or other non-content based things. So that's the current state, at least.
Thank you. Janet, do we have anyone else? I think you said we had somebody.
Mayor Wolf, that person put their hand down, and at this time, They just put it back up. So I will promote Scott to panelist. Scott, as you're promoted, can you please unmute your microphone? You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Hello and welcome back.
All right. Sorry to take up any more of your time, but this issue is something that really impassions me. I know this might surprise some people, but I'm actually 100% with Frank on this. I'm actually surprised that Councilmember Diaz would be against it or thinking that we might need to limit it. I believe I heard Frank say that Jim served, and so as somebody who is really impassioned by free speech and the First Amendment, I would think anybody who served would certainly be equally impassioned. But thank you, Frank. I do appreciate that. Like I said, the First Amendment should not be taken lightly. It's really that simple. There are very few limitations on the First Amendment, and I can't think of any that relate to sign ordinances. Certainly hateful speech can be prohibited, but people putting as many signs as they want, supporting political candidates or causes or anything else should never be limited on any level. Honestly, if I want to put 100 signs out in my yard supporting one candidate or another or one cause or another, I have every right to do so. So does Frank Gavidia, so does Holly Tillman, so does Jim Diaz, and so does everybody else in the world. I honestly can't believe that a current city council member would support a limitation on free speech. And I know that Councilmember Juan, at least, is fully in agreement with this. So Jeff, I appreciate you as a libertarian, supporting this. I can't support the limitation of First Amendment rights regarding sign ordinances in a small town like Clayton on any level, and I hope that none of you can either. The First Amendment is very important to me and to many others in this town, and it should never be infringed upon. Thank you guys for your time.
Thanks, Scott.
Let's just to clarify again, you also can't prohibit like hate speech on signs either. So that's the restrictions on these things are not based on content. So once you start getting into content, you go down a bad path. I remind the folks listening about Cohen versus State of California in the 70s at the Supreme Court, which had a really colorful message that I believe really resonates today. And there was a recent thing in New Jersey with regarding our current president. All of this is protected. Free speech means it's not the speech that we all agree with that needs protection. It's all the stuff that you actually hate. That's what really needs protection. And so to stand on principle, you need to essentially protect all of it. Cohen versus State of California, you should look it up. It's a good one.
All right. Janet, do we have anyone else?
Mayor Wolf, I do not have any other hands raised on this item.
Okay, then we will close the public comment on this and bring it back to the council and direction to the staff. We have, yes, oh, Jim, sorry.
Okay, as the elected representative of a large portion of the people in this community, I brought forth this issue solely as their representative at their request. I would like to say, yes, I served in the military longer than Mr. Denslow probably lived in this city. So I believe in the First Amendment. I stood for it. I fought those enemies that foreign and domestic that tried to come and encroach upon our First Amendment. I would do it again. I'm ready to stand. I am a First Amendment advocate. I bet there's a lot of people out there that even haven't read the damn First Amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, given that, I would say that we're looking at leaving our sign ordinance alone, unless somebody has some other.
Unless you want to make it less restrictive.
I know you wrote about that, but the rest of the council, what do you think?
I did my duty as I did before in the military. I'm done with it. I'm fine with what we have.
I too am fine with what we have. I haven't changed my mind since the last council when we had this discussion. I don't personally see blight from these signs going up. I don't think that our opening this up, even during the political season, was a detriment to the city. So I'm fine with the way things are. But the rest of you,
I will reiterate. I voted against the current thing because I thought it was too restrictive. And I would do it again because I don't think there should be restrictions.
Holly, Peter, anything?
I didn't vote in the last one. If I had to vote today, I'd leave it as is. I think everybody is making pretty much the same point, coming at it, with different tones of voices and the words that they're using. But I think we all agree that we believe in the First Amendment. And even though we might not like what people are putting up, your neighbor has the right to put up something that goes against that as well, if that's what they believe. And I think that's kind of what we've been seeing going on since January here in town. It's possible that can continue in a different neighborhood, perhaps. But at the end of the day, we're all, it's our right to be able to believe what we believe, to say what we want to say. And people might have consequences from doing that. That's not for us to decide. I think the way that the policy is written right now is we leave it alone.
Peter, anything?
I will say that I was in the meeting as a planning commissioner when we last heard this. I remember a very passionate conversation in the planning commission from Frank that had an opposite appeal from the other sides as well. I personally do not like the blight of city signs, and I personally would not like to see my neighbor put up a lot of signs to the point where you couldn't see their yard. That's just my personal opinion. But that being said, there's nothing we could do about that. I think I really appreciate Jeff verbatim stating exactly what a temporary non-commercial sign was. Thank you, Jeff. I don't think a lot of people don't understand the word temporary is about the construction of the sign rather than the duration of the sign. And even if we did put a duration on the sign and say, okay, well, it's 90 days, it doesn't prevent whoever has that sign to take up and just move it 2 inches or just change the sign out in 90 days. So it doesn't solve a problem or perceived problem by anybody by changing that. So I'm good with the ordinance as it is, and I'm not ready to change it. So thank you.
So Raina, do you have everything you need on this?
Yes, I have direction to do nothing, which, maybe the first time that's come about, but you all can continue to do that. Direction to do nothing is just fine. And I will just note for the record, Mayor, you do have a hand raised, but you clearly opened and closed public comment. So I just wanted to note that was there. So
thank you. Okay.
You want to hear what he has to say? Maybe he's going to come after me again. That'd be fun.
Oh, I don't know I don't have it on my screen, so I just rely on Janet to tell me. All right, so let's see. Okay, so we'll move on now to recess the council meeting so we can move to the
you need to bypass the closed session.
Pardon me?
You need to bypass the closed session. No closed session. Item 10.
Item 10 just says recess the council meeting.
No, it says closed session.
No.
I think you may be on the wrong one, Jim.
That's a different agenda.
It does not say that, Jim. Sorry. It says recess the city council meeting, item 10.
Well, then somebody did not update my page then.
Sorry about that. But yeah, okay. But we'll make note, there is no closed session. And then we'll go to recess the city council meeting until the conclusion of the Oakhurst Geological Hazard Abatement District meeting. So we will stand in recess and turn this over now to GAD meeting, to Chairperson Tillman.
Thank you. All right, so I will call to order the August 3rd, 2021 Oakhurst Geological Hazard Abatement District, otherwise known as the GHAD, at 9:04 p.m. Janet, can you call the roll, please?
Board Member Diaz?
Yes.
Board Member Juan?
Yeah. What's up?
Board Member Wolf?
Here.
Vice Chair Cloven?
I'm here.
Chair Tillman?
Here. Thank you, Janet. Okay, item number 2 on the agenda, I will open up public comments. Janet, can you see if there are any members of the audience who would like to offer a public comment? Although that seems a little out of place, but okay.
Chair Tillman, there are no hands raised on this item.
Great, then I will close public comments. Item number 3 is a consent calendar, and we have 2 items on there. One is to approve the Board of Directors minutes for its regular meeting on June 29th, 2021. And item 3B is approve a resolution amending an existing agreement with Harrison Associates for engineering support to the Oakhurst Geological Hazard Abatement District, including designation of the general manager. Does anyone want to pull any items or discuss either of those? Go ahead.
Actually, what I'd like to do is I am going to, Janet, if you can move Mark Nassar into a panelist mode. I just would briefly like to have you be able to see, I didn't do it on the consent item for the council as a whole, same basic concept under both. We are approving a new city engineer and general manager for the Oakhurst GAD. And so I wanted to have, and there's Mark now. I just wanted Mark to be able to wave, say hello. Everybody can see his face. And Mark, if you just want to briefly introduce yourself, and then that way you have some familiarity with the group.
Hello, Mr. Mayor. Hello, honorable council members, City Manager Reina. It's good to meet you all. Thank you for having me. My name is Mark Nassar. I'm a registered civil engineer. I'm with Harrison Associate, and I'll be joining you as in the capacity of your city engineer. I have over 30 years of experience in civil engineering, specifically in public works. My background, I have a huge tenure at the City of San Diego before I transitioned over to Harrison Associates. Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
Thank you, Chair, for allowing me to bring Mark in.
No, thank you for introducing him.
Welcome. You got your work cut out for you.
Thanks. I look forward to working with you all.
Okay. Does anyone have any items they want to pull or discuss? Okay, then does someone want to make a motion on the consent calendar?
Were you going to take public comment?
Oh,
did we? Did I miss it? I don't know.
We can on the consent calendar. It was item number 2, which was odd because to me it was in a different place, but I can open up public comments, sure.
I don't know, just for procedure, you know.
Just public comment on the consent calendar, I think, Chair told me.
Sure. I'll open up public comments for the consent calendar. Janet, do you have any hands raised?
Chair Tillman, there are no hands raised on this item.
Thank you, Janet. I will close the public comment on the consent calendar, and would someone like to make a motion?
Move approval.
Second. Okay, there you
go. I missed a second.
Peter got it.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion made by Board Member Juan and a second by Board Member Cloven. And Janet, can you take the roll, please?
Board Member Diaz.
Yes.
Board Member Juan.
Aye.
Board Member Wolf.
Yes.
Vice Chair Cloven.
Aye.
Chair Tillman.
Aye. Thank you, Janet. So that passes 5-0. Moving on to item number 4, there are no public hearings. Item 5 are action items, which there are none. And item number 6 are whether or not there are any board items for future meetings, any requests or directives that anyone would like.
I would just reiterate my previous one.
Yes.
That's listed in the minutes.
Okay, great. Anyone else? Okay, I will close that item, and we are now adjourned at 9:09 p.m. The next meeting of the GAD Board of Directors will be scheduled as needed. And I will turn it back over to you now, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, we will reconvene the City Council meeting for August 3rd. And item number 12, council items limited to council requests, future directives, directives for future meetings. Anyone?
Yeah, I would make the same request for that I made for the GAD to make it for the LMD as well. I think Reina and I had talked about this. It probably takes a different form, but similar in nature. One of the questions I often get asked is, when is this area going to get landscaped? what's the schedule like or whatnot. We don't really have that very well clearly laid out. And I know that, the landscape, the maintenance crew essentially works as, they triage things as they happen. So you can't always stick to a schedule. But to the extent I believe there is a schedule, because there has to be, we should be clear on when that is so that people know what to expect. It doesn't need to be very granular. It could be like, this quarter, we're going to do this area or something of that nature, so that people have an idea of what to expect. And then as things change, we can make updates to show that here's what's scheduled, here's what was actually done, here's what was rescheduled, and here's when it's going to be done. That kind of thing, I think, would go a long way towards transparency, towards where the LMD dollars are going. So that would be a request that we do.
Okay. Yep. Duly noted. Anyone else? All right. So it looks like we are now going to adjourn this meeting, and until our next meeting, which will be held on August 17th, 2021. Good night.